Hey everybody, HomeSliceHenry here, and in today's video, due to popular demand, Unobtainable Legacy Quick Attack Starmie makes its glorious return to the Master League Premier Cup. Starmie at level 51 only gets to 2957 CP, and in the one shield, it only has a 6% meta win rate. But I am not about to let that stop me. I'm running it on the save switch with a Dragonite Florges core with the charge attacks of Ice Beam and Thunder, aiming to potentially one-shot dragons, or a Gyarados if I can find it. So without further ado, let's hop into the matches. Hopping into the first match, leading Dragonite into Gyarados, this will depend on the fast move. Opponent save switches into a Togekiss, so this is almost assuredly double charm, and almost assuredly waterfall on that Gyarados. I send in Florges, bait with the disarming voice, and my opponent is going to commit the shield. They also end up giving me a Fairy Wind for free, which is very helpful in this matchup. I shield the Ancient Power, and thankfully, I do not get debuffed. I will fire off another Disarming Voice, as this isn't quite Moonblast range, so 2 Disarming Voices is probably the way to go. My opponent will actually decide to go for a double shield, and now with shields down, I'm going to fire off another Disarming Voice. I make it to Disarming Voice number 2. This will come very close to knocking out. Disarming Voice gets them low. I go for the snipe into Starmie, but they're barely able to hang on and fire off an Ancient Power. Now I have Starmie with an energy lead. Opponent sending in Waterfall Gyarados. They don't know, and they're about to have an incredible amount of regret. In comes the Thunder. Get that Gyarados out of here, and it's Primarina in the back. The double charm team getting absolutely folded by a 2900 CP Starmie. The Thunder connects, getting the Primarina into the red. Primarina leaves with the Disarming Voice, but they're not going to be able to make a Moonblast. I can send in the Dragonite. Opponent fires off their energy. This is not enough energy for a Moonblast. It is just the Disarming Voice. Dragonite does not care. I do get farmed down on 1 HP, but 1 Fairy Wind from the Florges takes the win. We see a terrible lead in the next match, Dragonite into Mamoswine. I save switch into the Starmie. Opponent sends in a Dragon Breath Gyarados. Come on, please. Starmie farming up, going for the Thunder. They do not know. They get one shot by the Thunder. And just like that, Starmie has flip switch. In the back, it is Golisopod. Golisopod firing off an Aerial Ace here. Aerial Ace into the Starmie does not KO. Starmie unable to make it to a move. But now with switch advantage, this game is looking extremely favorable. Golisopod will be able to fire off multiple moves here, but it's realistically not going to matter to the Dragonite. In comes the Mamoswine. I'm able to fire off the superpower to guarantee their first shield. And now I can send in Florges. Florges up a shield, looking incredibly deadly in this endgame. Mamoswine will go for the Avalanche, but 1 Avalanche is not a problem for Florges. Florges able to tank that damage, no problem. And then I'm going to fire off the Disarming Voice. Disarming Voice is going to be shielded up. Mamoswine giving up both shields. I make it to the Moonblast, but I lose charge attack priority. This is a very safe shield for me because I can guarantee that I can land this Moonblast, and Moonblast is going to do a massive amount of damage to the shieldless Mamoswine. Moonblast will connect. In comes Golisopod. Golisopod able to win charge attack priority over the Florges. At this point, I can just win the game with the Dragonite, as Dragonite will be able to make it to a Dragon Claw on charge attack priority there. Not being able to make a move is Golisopod, and all that's left is the low health Mamoswine, which just gets farmed down. The tough leads continue in the next match, Dragonite into Togekiss. I'm going to save switch into Starmie and basically hope my opponent decides to switch out, and they do. They switch out, they send in Garchomp. I'm firing up the Ice Beam, but they do actually respect the Ice Beam. That's very unfortunate. Starmie is so frail that off mud shots, I'm approaching half HP, which is very rough. I end up shielding an Outrage, which is quite nice, and I'm firing off Ice Beam number 2. At this point, they have seen the moveset, so they're going to be shielding no matter what, and this is really tough. They're mud shot, so I'm not expecting Sand Tomb, so I will commit the shield. They Outrage again. I make the Ice Beam. I lose charge attack priority. I'm like, how did I miscount? There's no way they're another Outrage, but they're actually running Mud Shot plus Sand Tomb. Thankfully, I was able to get both shield calls right. The Ice Beam picks up the KO. In comes Dragonite, and this should just be a win. Opponent should go for a catch when I make the Claw, and they do. and just watching for that catch and avoiding it means this is just now a guaranteed win. I can fire off the Disarming Voice with the Florges. Florges is going to be able to output some very nice damage into Togekiss. One of the things that I really like about the Master League formats as a whole is that Charm is not the dominating threat that it is in other formats. Whereas Charm in this meta just doesn't do a whole lot for you. And now back in comes the Dragonite. Dragonite does need a superpower to KO here. A Dragon Claw will not be enough. Opponent goes for the Dragon Claw. That is not going to cut it. Florges able to fire off the Disarming Voice. The Disarming Voice is going to knock out the Dragonite and secure the win. Same leads in the next match. Dragonite into Togekiss. The save switch into the Starmie. Please don't stay in. And they switch out. They send in a Garchomp. This time it is a Dragon Tail Garchomp. Ice Beam connects. Double super effective damage. But the difference in combat power is so extreme that an Ice Beam does not one-shot. I shield up the Sand Tomb. I'm going to be able to make another Ice Beam. But despite the fact that I landed a double super effective Ice Beam, they're actually able to win the ones here. I'm going to send in Florges, get a farm down. We'll have to see what they have in the back. Oh my goodness, that's like the perfect Pokemon for me to see Conkeldurr. I am very surprised to see this. I've basically, in terms of fighters, only really seen Annihilate because Annihilate can beat all the other fighters. They survived the Moonblast on 1 HP, but they only have a Brutal Swing. And now it's up to Togekiss in the back. And again, I'm just going straight for Disarming Voices. My opponent does shield in case they do get an Ancient Power boost, then they do want to keep themselves as healthy as possible. At this point, my lose condition is an Ancient Power boost, and thankfully they do not get it, and now I should just be in a winning position, where I can go for the double Disarming Voices, and it'll come very close to knocking out. I don't think it'll quite knock out, but I do still have Dragon Breath available from the Dragonite. That is going to get them low. I can send in the Dragonite. Dragonite gets to flip the script, KO the Togekiss, and take the win. Picking up a bit of a tricky lead in the next match, Dragonite versus Rhyperior. Even though all Rhyperiors in this meta are on Mud Slap, and I'm a flying type, it's still a bit uncomfortable. Because I have to land a superpower to do any meaningful damage. I decide to bait, and they call the bait. What a read. Oh my goodness. They now are 2 past the Rock Wrecker or a double Breaking Swipe. They're just going to go for a Breaking Swipe and then a catch onto Snorlax. I'm just getting outplayed so far. This is really not ideal. I don't have a great response to a Snorlax save switch, which is definitely unfortunate for me, because of course Starmie would get absolutely torn to shreds. I could send in Florges, but realistically I'm probably going to need Florges in the endgame. I will go for the superpower, they commit the shield, and now I just send in the Florges because I have to. I can't stay in with the Dragonite, and I can't send in the Starmie, so by process of elimination, alright Florges, you have to put in some serious work here. Florges will go for the Moonblast. As I do approach 100 energy, Moonblast into the Snorlax will connect, and I do actually get a bit of good luck as I get the 10% chance at an attack drop. The Body Slam now not going to do a lot of damage. In comes Primarina, and Primarina I should be able to make 2 Disarming Voices. Disarming Voice number 1 is going to be shielded, and I get to Disarming Voice number 2. Thought about trying to go for the Moonblast, but I was not going to be able to get there. The Disarming Voice will connect, and now it's all up to Starmie. Starmie, these charms absolutely tearing through its HP bar. Starmie is going to commit the shield on the Disarming Voice, and I will look to overfarm and then go for the Thunder. Thunder will be able to pick up the knockout. No shields remaining for my opponent. The issue is they still have that Rhyperior, and I have no fast attack pressure here with the Unobtainable Legacy Quick Attack. So I am going to shield with the Breaking Swipe. I'm going to be able to make it to the Ice Beam. Ice Beam is going to KO. And now it all comes down to the Snorlax in the back. I send in the Dragonite to get as much damage as I can. Do they have a move? They do not. The Quick Attack KOs, and we take the win. There's a big problem on the lead in the next match, and its name is Goldengo. Goldengo beats this entire team. So this is not a fun Pokemon to see whatsoever. When you're team building around something like a 2900 CP Starmie, I mean, there's just going to be core breakers and you're just going to have to deal with it. Like, the team is built to try and be as balanced as it can, but realistically, there's not going to be a balanced team with a Pokemon that has a 6% meta win rate. It's just not going to happen. I fire off another superpower, and that superpower will get them very low, and it is on charge attack priority. This could potentially set up an incredibly aggressive quick attack farm down. Goldengo withstanding those quick attacks. I get quite a lot of energy. They send in a Gyarados. Oh my goodness, please. Come on, Starmie. Starmie picks up the one-hit KO, but my happiness is short-lived. In the back, it's Excadrill, opponent running an ABA steal strategy. And now I'm in a tremendous amount of trouble because my backline does not want to see Excadrill. I'm going to fire off the Disarming Voice bait, and I am able to successfully grab a shield from my opponent. And at this point, I think I just need damage. So I am going to fire off another Disarming Voice. My opponent is going to no shield. Now the question will be, if I can potentially force the final shield from my opponent, I can still win this. Unfortunately, I'm only going to make it to the Disarming Voice. If they shield, I can pick up a win with an Ice Beam, but they know better. They're going to save the 2 shields for the Excadrill, understanding that with Quick Attack, I have no ability to farm down. And Starmie, I mean, there's just no hope in this moment here. I can try. I can really try to farm down, but it's not going to matter. So we pick up the one-hit KO on the Gyarados, but the 2-shield Excadrill ruins that fun in the endgame. Moving to the next match, leading Dragonite into Snorlax. Now that I've played out this matchup quite a few times with Dragonite, I feel very, very comfortable with the Dragonite. Here's how I typically like to play it, is I will shield once, and then typically you're going to want to farm a couple Dragon Breaths past when they get into the yellow health. Because his superpower, I believe, does 47%. So if you do a couple Dragon Breaths past when they get to the yellow health, they'll be at 47, and it will KO. They're actually going to shield. I'm going to throw a couple more, and then fire off another superpower. This is, of course, now 1 times debuffed, but it's still enough to KO. I'm able to win lead. They send in Dragonite. I pivot Starmie, and they send in Metagross. Starmie not going to get to one-shot anything in this matchup, but that is exactly what I needed to happen. This team is very soft to steel types as a whole, especially the Goldengo and the Metagross. I'm able to make it to a second Thunder because realistically, who knows Starmie counts, and Starmie forces a shield from a Metagross. Let's go. They're going to go for the Meteor Mash and the farm down. That damage does not look resisted. I can send in the Dragonite, fire off the superpower, and this game is over. The superpower connects. I mean, from here, I can just win the game with Florges. Meteor Mash will KO. In comes Florges. Opponent sends in Dragonite, and there's nothing Dragonite can do. Florges making it to the Moonblast. Moonblast should be enough to pick up the KO. Oh, not quite, but a couple more Fairy Winds later, pick up the KO. In comes the Metagross, and that's not something you see every day. A Metagross conceding the match to a Florges. Great lead in the next match. Dragonite into Excadrill. Opponent save switches into Gyarados. And here, I'm actually going to send in Florges instead of the Starmie. If my opponent save switches a Gyarados and I send in a Starmie, they're probably going to wonder why I'm sending it in and actually commit a shield. And the only way Starmie's ever going to have any success is purely off the surprise factor. So I'm just going to send in what I know is a very consistent matchup in the Florges. Florges, unfortunately losing charge attack priority to the Gyarados. Here, oh, it actually wasn't quite charge attack priority there. It was desynced by 1 turn. I go for an undercharge, but it's not enough of an undercharge. I would have loved to get some more farm on the Florges. I'm still able to outpace and make the Moonblast before they make the drill run, but getting extra farm there would have been quite nice. The Moonblast connects, dealing some pretty significant damage. Opponent, I'm very surprised they don't throw when they get to the back-to-back, allowing me to get a Disarming Voice. And this can potentially set up Dragonite to just Dragon Breath down later in the game, which works out great for me. They go for a Rock Slide in case I catch onto the Dragonite. I send in the Dragonite, and they're going for Rock Slide number 2. The Rock Slide is going to land in the back. They have their own Dragonite, and this game is looking winnable. I can hopefully force a shield with the Dragon Claw, and then it's Starmie time. Starmie up a shield. Although, look at these Dragon Breaths. These Dragon Breaths are absolutely shredding through the Starmie. Starmie Ice Beam does get shielded. The question will be, can Starmie actually survive to get to a second Ice Beam? It's going to be very, very close. The Dragon Claw gets shielded. They're going for Dragon Claw number 2. The thing that could potentially be worrisome here is if I make the Ice Beam, but it's a range where they can just farm me down with the Exca. And unfortunately, my clock's not up. Exca gets the farm down. In comes the Dragonite, and my opponent, energy management perfection, as they actually pick up a win from a game that looked absolutely done for. Tough lead in the next match, Dragonite into Florges. I'm going to save switch into Starmie. I mean, this is an awful matchup for Starmie. I'm just going to no-shield everything and hope that they decide to switch out into a Dragon or a Gyarados. The Moonblast lands, they switch, but that's not something I can one-shot. That's an Annihilate. I go for the Thunder. Look at that damage. That just does absolutely nothing to Annihilate. Oh, that is so unfortunate. And I can't even really send in my hard counter, which is the Florges, because realistically, I'm going to need the Florges to KO my opponent's Florges, so I just have to send in the Dragonite. Opponent will go for the Shadow Ball. That deals some pretty significant damage. They're going to be able to make a Night Slash. A Night Slash does not KO here, so I think I'm just going to have to bank a ton of energy on the Dragonite. I'm going to be able to get a massive farm down on very low HP. I send in the Florges. It's a Skeledirge in the back. There's just no ink on, and I resign the match. Hopping into the final match, and Annihilate has returned, but this time it's on the lead, which is a way better alignment for me. Opponent save switches into their Florges, and this is really not good. I have zero response to a save switch Florges. I can send in my own, but if you're switching into a mirror match down energy, then you're never going to be in a good position. I will go for the Disarming Voice here, as I need 2 moves to KO. Opponent is going to commit the shield, and now I get to land the Moonblast. Moonblast is going to do some solid damage. My opponent not wanting to shield twice, and oh, they just have so much energy stored on their Florges. I just really don't think it's worth shielding, so I am going to let that through. And now, I guess I have to send in the Starmie. I'm really hoping they go for a Moonblast. The correct play is to go for double Disarming, because double Disarming will KO, and they are going to go for the correct play. That's extremely unfortunate. I am going to commit the shield, and then I'm not really sure what I'm going to do. I send in the Dragonite, and it's actually a simultaneous switch. Dragonite into the Annihilate. I will fire off the Dragon Claw before they make a move. The Dragon Claw will connect. My opponent has farmed up quite a lot of energy. Whatever they throw, I know I can survive it. Shadow Ball will connect. Dragonite looking to farm up. I'm actually going to play to the charge attack priority tie onto their Night Slash. Dragon Claw is going to pick up the KO. They're going to send in Florges. Dragonite committing to the farm down. Gets the farm down. What is in the back? Is that a Master League Empoleon? Oh my goodness. The Wincon appears out of thin air. Superpower gets the shield. Back in comes the Starmie with the Thunder loaded. This will not be enough to knock out, but now it's going to be a race. Can I make a second Thunder before they get the double up? They're firing off energy. I'm going to be shielding, and I do believe I will be able to outpace, and Starmie gets to the Thunder. Thunder KOs Empoleon, and that is a good game. All in all, I had a ton of fun getting to run Starmie once again. I believe for the first time in over a year. But hey, that's what happens when Master Premier does not happen very frequently. As I mentioned at the start, Starmie is not a good Pokemon in the Master League. Doesn't even get to 3,000 combat power. 6% meta win rate in the one shield. Like, as you can see, these are definitely more of fun highlights. It goes without saying there were a lot of negative sets to help make this happen. I did actually have a positive set with the team, which I was extremely surprised by. But overall, I hope you guys enjoyed. This has probably been the most requested follow-up video since I have made it. So I hope I was able to do it justice. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're enjoying the content, make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't. And a special thank you as always to our members here on YouTube. The support guys provide is sincerely appreciated. So thank you guys oh so very much. And until next time, I've been HomeSliceHenry.